We're back with another custom campaign breakdown, and up next, we'll be going over one of the best campaigns on the workshop, Back to School. This is a fantastic custom map. The presentation, the level design, the innovative mechanics are among the best I've experienced. This campaign is 6 chapters long, and it's full of small details and Easter eggs, and despite being a custom map, this campaign actually ties into the main story of Left 4 Dead in a very clever way. This is going to be a long one, so, without wasting any more time, let's break down the story behind Back to School. The campaign starts off with an intro cinematic. Before we talk about Chapter 1, we have a few things to break down in the opening seconds of this campaign. Firstly, we have this dead body in a car, along with this piece of text that says 10 days after the first infection. Secondly, during the cinematic, you can see a sign saying Welcome to Borden City. If the name Borden sounds familiar, that's because it is. Let's head over to Chapter 2 of Crash Course, where you find this piece of paper listing off CETA evacuation centers. Second to the bottom, you can see the name, Borden High School. Based on the evidence presented, we can safely assume the following. 1. The survivors are still in Pennsylvania, and 2. Back to School is a prequel to the story of Left 4 Dead 1. We know that No Mercy takes place 2 weeks after the first infection. 2 weeks is obviously 14 days. Back to School takes place 10 days after the first infection. So, we know that Back to School takes place 4 days before the events of No Mercy. This is such a clever way to tie into the main story of Left 4 Dead, and I cannot express how much I love this setup. Now, let's start breaking down Chapter 1. Shortly after leaving the starting area, the survivors come across a house. When you enter the house, you can find some graffiti that reads as follows. Thank you for these 20 wonderful years of marriage. Farewell, my darling. And when you open up the door, a dead body falls out of the closet. When you go to the second floor of the same house, you find even more graffiti that reads as follows. I'm so sorry, darling. I'm so sorry. And when you look inside the bathtub, a dead body of a witch can be seen. And finally, when you head to the attic, you find another dead body and even more wall graffiti. If you're reading this, you're probably luckier than I am. We thought they would come from the ravine. We were wrong. I'm immune. My daughter and wife? Not. I'm staying till the end. We are a few minutes into Chapter 1, and we already have the story of a father who lost his wife and daughter to the green flu virus, and we still have 5 more chapters to go. Shortly after clearing the boulders, the survivors come across an outpost. A military vehicle can be seen, and when you head inside, you find a dead soldier and even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. Captain sent us to cover the block posts from the forest side. Ha! As easy as can be. Sitting here, sipping beer, everything's quiet. Looks like the infected finished the beer for you. Lol, +1. The outpost also has a radio, and when you listen closely, the following message can be heard.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the Pennsylvania State Police Department. An unidentified virus strain is rapidly spreading across the state of Pennsylvania. The first reports of the virus are believed to have been in State College. The virus has since spread throughout the state of Pennsylvania. It is believed that it will spread to adjacent states within the next 12 hours. Symptoms of this virus include initial nausea and vomiting, blurred vision, loss of muscle control, and unconsciousness. State College is also reporting that some of the affected persons are turning into zombie-like creatures. At any time, they may start causing massive damage to the area. Because this is an airborne virus, authorities recommend that the following action should be taken by all members of the public. Stay indoors, if at all possible. Turn off all heating and air conditioning systems. Wear breathing masks to prevent catching the virus. Have enough food and water supplies for sheltering for 1 to 2 weeks. If you catch this virus and show symptoms of turning into a zombie, you will be quarantined in your home for an indefinite period of time. Any residents not in the state of Pennsylvania hearing this message should also take these precautionary actions. If the virus continues to spread, these actions will be taken by your governments as well. Most importantly, stay safe in this situation. Unruly behavior will not be tolerated. You will be arrested.
Shortly after, the survivors cut through a military outpost. We have a few things to talk about in this area. The first thing is the sheer amount of CETA body bags, all lined up on the side of the street. And the second thing are the school buses that say Borden High School. We also have even more wall graffiti to break down. Let's start with this one. Fairfield is overrun. Only hope, Borden. You can also find this highway sign in front of the tunnel saying Fairfield, which is the location of the No Mercy campaign. On the right hand side, you can find a CETA tent with a whiteboard that reads as follows. Checkup procedure. Standard medical test. In case of infected suspicion, quarantine. Open passage for the immune only. Shoot to kill on first sign of infection. If you see this fucker, call to HQ. The picture of a boomer can be seen at the bottom of the whiteboard. You can also find a CETA evacuation notice telling the survivors to head towards Borden High School. When you walk to the other end of the street, you can find another piece of wall graffiti that reads as follows: "Military are coming back, 10 a.m., Borden High School." Shortly after, the survivors enter a mine shaft. Before you enter the safe room, you find a dead body and a piece of wall graffiti that reads as follows: "Don't bury them. These assholes didn't want to let us in." Later on, when you enter the safe room, we have even more graffiti to break down. It's all lost now. The block post is destroyed. Captain McTavish is dead, and we are the last. Heard on blog post about these two crazy rednecks and about their mines asylum. You can use it as we are. Now, let's head over to the beginning of Chapter 2. Shortly after leaving the safe room, the survivors come across a broken fence with barbed wire. On the left-hand side, you can find a piece of graffiti that reads as follows: "No one sets foot on my land. No one." Shortly after, the survivors walk through the fence and are met with a very disturbing scene. A pile of burning bodies can be found. Some of the zombies were even impaled on pikes. Next to this bonfire, we have another piece of wall graffiti. "I don't care if your heart beats or not, you will all burn in hell." After walking past a few more bonfires, you can find even more wall graffiti that reads as follows: "I will send you all to hell, bastards. This is my property." Shortly after, the survivors arrive at a railroad station. The station has a fence made up of drywall and barbed wire, but it clearly wasn't strong enough. The wall was breached and the train station was overrun. Survivors were holding out here at one point, but they were forced to retreat. We'll get to that in due time. For now, let's go over even more wall graffiti. What the fuck is going on? I was delayed looking for my wife, but now we're at this train station. No CETA, no army. Where are all the trains? We'll try our luck at the police station. Shit. Fairfield fell on the second day, and the next day, Borden was swept by the chaos. The military abandoned the train station. Trains are gone. Screw you guys, I'm going home. Bad news, everyone. There aren't going to be any trains. Some idiot has blown up the tracks. Fucking thanks. This is so useful. I think everyone has guessed it already. Shortly after, the survivors exit the train station and cut through a CETA trailer. When you get inside the trailer, a radio can be seen on the table. When you interact with the radio, you can hear the following. And after leaving the CETA trailer, a semi-truck can be seen being attacked by zombies, and a few seconds later, it crashes and alerts a horde. This is a super cool setup for an event, and I love seeing original stuff like this in a custom campaign. Be careful though, the truck will instantly down you if it runs you over. While walking up the street, you can also find a building named Borden View Hotel, a very similar name to the Harbor View Hotel seen in the Dead Air campaign. Shortly after, the survivors cut through a restaurant that has even more wall graffiti. Has anyone heard that weird hooting and the squeal of rubbers? It scares me. It reminds me of Stuntman Mike from Tarantino's movie. I love Tarantino. I think he would make a great zombie. I left a few guns on the fire stairs at the side of the street. We're too heavy. Hey guys, I've placed some new songs in the jukebox. Check them out. CJ Unfly. The jukebox does include some custom songs, but I couldn't find a link or a name. If anybody by chance knows the name of these custom songs, please let me know down below. Now, moving on. Shortly after, the survivors arrive at a grocery store. If you head to the freezer, you can find a dead police officer and an M16 frozen to the ground. I tried lighting up a Molotov to maybe thaw the ice, but it didn't do anything. Once you head inside the grocery store, we have even more wall graffiti to break down. These creatures were sent as a punishment for our sins. We shouldn't fight, but confess and accept our mistakes, and the fog will be clear. What's all this religious gibberish about? Could it be that this body lying here is the one who wrote this? I don't think the prayers have helped her. Wait a minute. A supermarket, a woman, religious bullshit, a fog. Doesn't it remind you of anything? You know, you're probably right. Here's another fun detail. The name of this grocery store is Chet's Store, which is almost definitely a reference to Chet Falizek, who was one of Valve's head writers. Now, let's move on to the wall graffiti found in Chapter 3. Let's write down whoever was here. I'll start. 4th day, Kevin Levax. I'm a lawyer. I'm coming from the train station. I hope that guy told the truth and all military forces are meeting at the school. 5th day, Max Brooks and my spouse Michelle. By the way, Mr. Lawyer, were you the one who ate all the food? There are only rappers. I hate lawyers. 6th day, Captain McTavish. And when you close the safe room door and transition to the next chapter, you'll notice that a new piece of wall graffiti has been added. 10th day, Lewis, Zoe, Old Man Bill, and me, Francis. And hey, I hate lawyers too. Another thing that should be noted is the name Captain McTavish, which is likely a reference to John Soap McTavish, a character from the Call of Duty Modern Warfare series. Now, let's head over to Chapter 3. In this far corner, you can find a dead body with a strange key. If you head over to the nearby apartment building, you can find this painting on the wall. If you knock over the painting, you can find a wall safe, and you can unlock it with the key I just showed you. Inside the safe, you find money, Desert Eagles, and healing supplies. Behind the safe, we have another piece of wall graffiti that reads as follows: Leroy has left us to die. He took the guns, ammo, and food. If you see him, shoot the fucking bastard. At least he has chicken. This is obviously a reference to the legendary Leroy Jenkins clip. Just as a side note, that meme is now 20 years old now. Later on, the survivors reach a gun store and have to set off an alarm to get through. When you enter the gun store, you can find even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. Chicago Ted was here. Shit, who was that guy? Why did he take almost every single gun? How the hell did he even carry those? And why didn't he take the cannon? Not his style. Shortly after, the survivors arrive at a construction site. Before we talk about the helicopter pilot, there is one thing that needs to be pointed out. While walking through the construction site, you can find this concrete pipe. If you climb on top of the nearby pile of gravel, you can actually jump inside of this concrete pipe. Inside, you find the upper half of a corpse, reading what looks like a journal. I swear I've seen this model from somewhere, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And after you jump inside the pipe and interact with the torso, this happens.
Damn it! I'm down!
Now, with that fun Easter egg out of the way, let's move on. After climbing to the top of a building, the survivors find a radio and use it to contact the helicopter pilot. After a very short wait, the helicopter arrives, but something is wrong.
Christ almighty.
For those wondering, these are the deleted pilot voice lines I showed at the end of my No Mercy breakdown. It's a smart use of deleted voice lines, and it's one of the best events in this campaign. After this, the survivors enter the sewers. This is a good time to point out one of the many Easter eggs in this campaign. Throughout this campaign, you can find this teddy bear, wearing a hat and holding a heart that says, "From Russia with Love." This teddy bear is hidden throughout the campaign. Sometimes he's hiding indoors, other times he's watching you from a third-story window. We'll talk about this teddy bear in more detail later, but for now, let's break down even more wall graffiti. Great. Sewers. I wonder if the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are around. Oh my fucking god. Zombie Mutant Ninja Turtles? Ha ha ha. Cartoon Frog fans. How did you even survive at all? Once you exit the sewers, the survivors arrive at the Borden City Police Station. The wall of the cell block has been destroyed, and a dead tank can be found. Now, let's read off the wall graffiti found at the beginning of Chapter 4. Day 6. It all went wrong. Civilians have stolen our safe room door at night, but it was too late. Something huge punched out the garage door in the morning. Everything is fucked up. I'm alone now. The drawing of a tank can be seen below the wall graffiti. Fairfield is overrun. Quarantine is broken. Day 1. There are no buses. 11 civilians with us. Nothing from City Hall or the military. Everyone seemed to have vanished. Day 3. A couple of CETA slugs assigned to our transit point has left us without a word. Day 4. Infected are in town. First they came one by one, then they began to appear in groups. We managed to barricade ourselves. Praise the Lord. We have split up. Civilians are holding on at the top. Morons. Walls in the office are made of cardboard. While walking through the main lobby of the police station, you can find an undetonated bomb stuck in the ceiling. The police station was clearly a target for military bombing, but because of a malfunction or some other reason, this bomb did not detonate and the police station is still relatively intact. Also, for those wondering, yes, I tried to shoot the bomb, but sadly nothing happens. When you head over to the shooting range, you can find zombies being held up by ropes. A solid substitute for the paper targets if you ask me. When you reach the second floor, you find a conference room with a safe room door knocked on the ground. 4 dead survivors can be found in this room, along with a projector displaying a newspaper article from the Raccoon City Times. Here's another fun detail. The wall graffiti at the start of this chapter mentions that the office walls are made of cardboard. Funnily enough, the walls of this safe room can be destroyed by the infected. Even if the safe room door didn't get taken down, these survivors were going to die either way. We also have some wall graffiti that reads as follows. We decided to stay in the police station. Strong walls. A lot of supplies. If only the cops would stop bossing us around. It would be perfect. CETA bastards have disappeared, oddly. Before we move on, here's another fun secret. Before you reach the conference room, you can walk into this room on the right. After destroying these boxes, you can climb into a vent and drop into a nearby room. Inside of this room, you find a dead body behind a desk, a walking cane, and you can also find a nameplate that says House MD, which is certainly a reference to the drama TV show that goes by the same name. You can also find a whiteboard. The word zombie is written at the top, along with various diseases. At the bottom of the whiteboard, the word amok is circled in black. After doing some digging, amok disease is a medical condition that causes violent and sudden outbursts of aggression. Whoever wrote this was clearly studying the green flu virus, and where it originated from. A question that we will likely never get an answer to. Later on, in an interrogation room, we have even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. What the crap happened here? It looks like the suspect was too tough for them. Now, let's move on to the garage. When you walk inside the garage and look on the left-hand side, you can find 2 police cruisers that have been modified with armor plating. Looks like these cops tried to take a page out of Ellis's book and attempted to armor up their vehicles. You can also find some wall graffiti that reads as follows. It looks like somebody has done a great job. They are killing machines. No fuel, I'm leaving, too dangerous. Here's another fun secret. Behind this fence, you can find a crowbar and a dead body. If you head into NoClip and get a closer look at this corpse, you realize that it's Gordon Freeman, the protagonist from the Half-Life series. After walking a little further, the survivors see a destroyed garage door. Another dead tank can be found, along with a pile of bodies. The wall graffiti earlier mentioned the garage door being destroyed by something huge, and this is obviously what the wall graffiti was referring to. It should be noted, however, that this is the second dead tank at the Borden City police station. The survivors here were eventually overrun, but it's obvious they didn't go down without a fight. Here's another fun detail. The tanks in this campaign also have unique models. When you reach the police station, you can sometimes run into a tank wearing a blue police vest. Now, let's move on. Once you exit the garage and head over to the left side of the parking lot, you can find a pile of bodies covered in sand. On the wall, you find a piece of wall graffiti that reads as follows. How many of them are still in the sand? It seems like they ran out of body bags. Well, it's still better than leaving them not covered. If you head over to the left side of the street, you can find the entrance to the Borden City Police Department. If you walk over to the fountain near the entrance, you'll notice that the fountain is spewing blood instead of water. Now, let's move on to the movie theater. While walking through the movie theater, you can find the posters of many classic horror movies. Some of these movies include Evil Dead, Night of the Living Dead, and Brain Dead. You can also find a piece of wall graffiti that reads as follows. A sad irony. Fucking zombie movie is all around us, and we're all in the main role. Here's another fun secret. You can find this locked door on the second floor of the movie theater. If you walk into this room and jump onto this box, you can find this key. Now you can unlock the door, and inside you find a grenade launcher, medical supplies, and a poster that reads as follows. Back to school, raising the bear. You can also find this cardboard cutout on the left-hand side. Silly shit like this is what makes these custom maps so fun. Now let's move on to the event at the end of Chapter 4. After using a computer to turn off the power, a movie begins playing and a horde is alerted. After pulling a nearby switch, the lever breaks. Now you need to grab a nearby axe and cut the cable to turn off the power. I do like it when custom campaigns do innovative stuff like this. It adds a lot more engagement to these events. After cutting the power, the survivors use the same axe to cut through the wall and reach the safe room. If you jump on top of these boxes, you can find 2 C4 explosives in a box. You can also find some wall graffiti that reads as follows. Maybe this isn't the best safe room you have seen, but it's safe here. Just sit still and be quiet. We've got a couple of crates with weapons and explosives. Take it, might be useful. When you close the safe room door and head over to Chapter 5, you'll notice that one of the C4 explosives was taken out of the box and placed on the nearby wall. The survivors then use it to blow open the wall and leave the movie theater. Once you drop down and look on the right hand side, we have even more wall graffiti. Hopeless. We are at the center of the infection. They'll bomb us and Fairfield at the same time. But why? US Marines are coming back to the city. I heard it on the radio. What if they fail to break through? Do you think there's another way to stop the virus? We're doomed. After walking a little further, the survivors come across a truck, and after getting a little closer, the survivors realize that someone is inside. The truck driver will then say this to the survivors.
Hello, survivors. Glad to see. Listen to me, people. Military say they will come to rescue here, but I not believe. I got supplies, gas, food, medical equipment, but not enough to get me far place from here. So, we do deal. You get me supplies, I take you to school. There should be gas cans nearby. Bring me those.
So, we have a truck driver talking in a Russian accent, and he says that he'll help us get to the school if we help him fuel the truck and grab supplies. The area you're in is very small, so grabbing the gas can should only take a minute. Once the truck is fueled, the survivors hop in the back and begin driving. After a few seconds, the truck stops and the survivors need to grab supplies from the nearby stores. Inside of these stores, we have even more wall graffiti to go over. We couldn't take the last box. Perhaps these medicines will save your life. Take them and good luck. I left some food. Take it and leave the city. Borden High School was overrun. Nothing to do there. Now I must admit, this next bit of wall graffiti is a bit difficult to read, mainly because of this permanent bloodstain covering some of the words. With that said, I think the graffiti reads as follows. 1/3 of engine oil, 2/3 of gasoline. Pour half the bottle, insert a wick, kill infected. The school wasn't just an evacuation point, there was some kind of research. I think the military must return there. I hope they'll save me. After grabbing all the supplies, the survivors hop in the truck and begin driving, but after a few seconds, the truck veers off the road and crashes into a nearby tree. The driver of the truck is not seen or heard from again, so it's safe to assume he died on impact. Later on, the survivors arrive at a church. This church is full of wall graffiti, and just like the Death Toll campaign, some of these pieces of wall graffiti are direct Bible references. Let's go over a few of them. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood up on their feet, a vast army. But after the 3.5 days, a breath of life from God entered them, and they stood on their feet, and terror struck those who saw them. On that day they will be terrified, stricken by the Lord with great panic. They will fight their neighbors hand to hand. Now that we got some Bible references out of the way, let's break down even more wall graffiti. Repent. The end is extremely fucking nigh. God is dead. What moron wrote this? I saw this graffiti 50 times already. This graffiti scares the hell out of me. Not only you. Here's another fun secret. When you get inside the church and walk to your immediate right, you can find this hidden key. This key unlocks the hatch at the top of the church, and when you head inside, you find a dead priest and even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. Good Lord, give me strength. They are so fast, I can't handle them. This isn't my flock. After leaving the church, a jet flies overhead and drops a bomb in a nearby parking lot, setting off multiple alarm cars. The survivors then have to shoot the batteries of the cars to stop the alarms. This is another solid event. The only problem is that when you have 4 players, you can disable all the alarms very quickly. 1 pipe bomb and good teamwork is all you need to get past this event with relative ease. Later on, the survivors find even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. What the fuck happened here? Why'd they break into the bank? It seems now that the main value of the bank isn't the money, but a steel box underground. Once you head inside the vault of the bank, you find a piece of graffiti that reads as follows. My god, they obviously didn't divide this shelter among themselves. Don't even want to know what's inside. Good thing they were able to lock him in there. And once you open up the vault door, a tank can be found inside. It should be noted that this tank spawn is complete RNG. Sometimes he'll be there and sometimes he won't. Though I must admit, spawning a tank in the safe room at the very end of the chapter is some diabolical shit. Once you head inside the vault, you find 3 dead bodies and even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. God hates us all. Step 1. Take your revolver. Step 2. Aim for your fucking head. Step 3. Pull the trigger. Step 4. Question mark. Step 5. Profit. Before we head over to Chapter 6, I want to go back and show one of the best features in this campaign. Some of the official Left 4 Dead maps have split pathways. They are rare, especially when it comes to the official campaigns. Back to School, on the other hand, has a ton of split pathways and random RNG events, so let's explore a few of them. The first one is found in Chapter 2, when you reach the supermarket. Sometimes you can exit the store with 0 issues. On repeat runs, however, a fire will start and a car will be sent flying, which summons a horde. You then have to hold off the infected until the fire dies out. The next RNG event is also found in Chapter 2, right after leaving the railroad station. Remember that truck that crashes through the fence and into a pole? Well, sometimes that truck will not appear at all, meaning you can walk up the street with 0 issues. The next split pathway is found in Chapter 3. Sometimes you can reach the construction site through the gun store, but on repeat runs, the door will be blocked, forcing you to go up through the nearby apartment complex. Also at the start of Chapter 3, while walking up the street, sometimes this will happen. The next split pathway can be found once you reach the police station. Sometimes the cell door will be open and you can walk through and reach the safe room. If you're unlucky, however, the cell door will be closed, forcing you to start a fire and then pry the cell door open by using a nearby sign. The next RNG event can be found in Chapter 4 after leaving the police station. When you walk up the street, a fighter jet bombs a nearby building, which summons a horde. And the final split pathway can be found before entering the movie theater. You walk to the right-hand side of the street and enter the movie theater through a side entrance. The second pathway is on the left side of the street. The survivors cut through a nearby building and then enter the movie theater by climbing onto the rooftop. Now, let's head back over to Chapter 6. After leaving the bank, the survivors officially arrive at Borden High School, and just like all the other CETA evacuation centers in Left 4 Dead, it's already been overrun by the infected, and the chaos is apparent when you lay eyes on the school for the first time. Zombies are everywhere. Dead bodies are littered throughout the streets, and there are no signs of any CETA or military personnel. If you head over to the right side of the street, you can find an excavator and a pile of burning bodies. Remember, we've seen this before in the Sacrifice comic and the motel in Dark Carnival. The military burns the corpses of the infected in an attempt to prevent the spread of infection. It should also be noted that the fire is still going, which means Borden High School was overrun not too long ago. The survivors enter the school through the basement. A broken water pipe has partially flooded the school, slowing your movement speed. Once you get up the stairs and reach the first floor, we have a lot more stuff to talk about. When you walk into the classrooms, you can find this written on the chalkboards. Borden High School was not just reformed into an evacuation center, they were also training the survivors, teaching them the basics of survival, weapons, and other useful tips. Let's read off some of these lessons. Lesson 1. Zombie. Zombies are the plague and the human race is their host. The lucky victims are devoured, their bones scraped clean, their flesh consumed. Those not so fortunate join the ranks of their attackers, transformed into putrid, carnivorous monsters. Conventional warfare is useless against these creatures, as is conventional thought. The science of ending life, developed and perfected since the beginning of our existence, cannot protect us from an enemy that has no life to end. Lesson 2. Weapons. Edged weapons and power tools, firearms, and Molotov cocktails. Lesson 3. Survival. Survival is the key word to remember. Not victory, not conquest, just survival. Knowledge is only part of the fight for survival. The rest must come from you. Personal choice, the will to live, must be paramount when the dead begin to rise. Without it, nothing will protect you. Ask yourself one question. What will you do? End your existence in passive acceptance, or stand up and shout, I will not be their victim. I will survive. The choice is yours. Lesson 4. Rules. Assemble a group, study, wean yourself of luxury items, remain vigilant to the ends of the earth, know your location, become an expert, plan your route, plans B, C, D, E, list your gear, and be ready to shop. While walking up the stairs, you can find even more wall graffiti that reads as follows. Turn back, I'm sure you don't want to meet these twins. And after walking a little further, you find 2 witches on a desk, sitting around a teddy bear. Here's another fun Easter egg. If you jump on this desk and look over the lockers, you can find this door. Written on the door are the words, "Don't open, dead inside." This is a reference to the hit TV show The Walking Dead, which features this exact door in its pilot episode. Shortly after, the survivors arrive at a football stadium. Another pile of burning corpses can be seen, and when you hop the fence, you'll notice that the field is covered in cedar tents. Before we talk about this finale from a gameplay perspective, there is one more Easter egg that I wanted to point out. In chapters 1 through 5, you can find these hidden teddy bears. They appear as gnomes when you drop them, but they turn back into teddy bears when you pick them up. Now, let's head over to chapter 6. If you look into the corner of one of the classrooms, you can find this chair and a piece of graffiti that reads as follows. Mishka was here. For those wondering, Mishka is the Russian word for teddy bear. If you take one of the teddy bears and place them on this chair, this will happen. The survivors will then wear these hats for the remainder of the campaign. I must admit, I do enjoy silly Easter eggs like this. Now, let's move on to the finale. Here's another really cool feature in this campaign. Back to School has 2 different endings. Let's call them the military ending and the nuclear ending. These endings are, at least to my knowledge, completely RNG based, but there are some clues in the finale that hint at what ending you're going to get. Sometimes, when walking through chapter 6, you can see jets and helicopters flying overhead, and when you reach the radio, a soldier then answers the survivors. If all of this happens, then you know you got the military ending. When you get the nuclear ending, however, no jets or helicopters can be seen, and while walking through chapter 6, you can hear the sounds of a nuclear siren. I'm going to talk about both of these endings in detail in just a second, but for now, let's talk about this finale from a gameplay perspective. It's a solid endgame that has a fun twist to it as well. The survivors have to search nearby cedar tents and grab 4 vaccines. It's a simple objective, but it adds a lot more engagement to this finale. Now, let's talk about the military ending first. After fighting off the infected hordes, a helicopter arrives and rescues the survivors. Instead of fading to black, we get a cutscene of a military convoy heading towards Borden High School. A tank is seen driving at the back of the convoy, and after stopping for a few seconds, the tank then takes aim at a tank. Yes, you heard me right. It then fades to black and the campaign ends. Now let's talk about the nuclear ending. In the nuclear ending, the survivors are picked up by an armored school bus. The survivors then board the school bus, and as they're driving off, a bomb is then set off and the survivors then speed away from the shockwave. And that concludes the story behind Back to School. This campaign is absolutely full of shit to talk about, and the level of detail and replayability in this campaign is almost second to none. This is by far the longest breakdown on the channel, and even with that said, I'm sure there are some things that I missed. So, if I did miss anything, or if you guys have anything to add, be sure to let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.